Another thing that can be harmful is not being in agreement on sexual frequency. In that book, I talked about Upgrade Your Sex Life. That book covers how to create a sexual agreement, understanding we want to have sex. Well, how often? Talk about that. Once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, etc. And then figure out how you can both mutually rotate the initiation. And I've worked with couples for almost 40 years, and I'm amazed at how often they never use words to ask for sex. In Upgrade Your Sex Life, we talk about that. Sit across the chair, practice asking each other to be sexual. I want to make love to you, some positive way, so that you can actually initiate. Because I found couples who the reason they weren't having sex is because they didn't know how to initiate, and they both thought the other sex should be the one initiating. Well, if both people think the other person should be doing something, something doesn't get done. Having agreement and understanding of how often you want to do that, how often each person is going to initiate, and then set up consequences if you don't keep your word. So that if I say I'm going to initiate once a week, that I do, and if I don't, well, then I make you a meal, or I, do laundry, or I, do something that's not fun for me. Set it up so that there's a structure to your sexuality, because sometimes the lack of sex is really the lack of structure, not the lack of desire. And desire comes through reinforcement. So the less you have sex, the less you desire sex. Now, another thing that can be happening, and these are things that can be wrong, all right? Depression, one of the symptoms of depression is low sex drive. Well, if someone is, sleeping a lot or not able to sleep, or their energy's low, difficulty concentrating, worthless feelings, low energy most of the time, they might have depression, or they might have low thyroid. Getting your blood tested. They might also have low hormone issues like testosterone in women and men. One of the symptoms is a lack of sexual desire. So get your blood work done, because you're older, there's menopause, there's hormone changes in men. We decline in hormones over our aging. And so it's important to know where you are in that process and what you want to do to be healthy, because hormones affect everything, including your sexuality. Now, on the other side, there can be unresolved issues. Addiction. If a man or woman is masturbating to pornography, fantasy, or having sexual behavior outside the marriage, that's a secret. There's going to be huge issues about wanting to be intimate with someone who thinks you're one person, but you're not that person. So you'll avoid that. Okay, so ask each other about pornography and masturbation. Ask each other about Facebook and intrigue relationships. Make sure there's nothing outside the marriage that's distracting you. Another thing is what we call intimacy anorexia, which is also an addiction process, but it's an addiction to withholding intimacy from your spouse. I'm going to go through these characteristics really quickly, but we have lots of YouTubes on intimacy anorexia. Check those out, or get the book, or go to intimacyanorexia.com. A lot of information there for both the anorexic and for the spouse. We call them married and alone. So here's the characteristics. If you've got 5 of these, you're probably dealing with something that needs professional help, and you want to call Heart to Heart Counseling Center at 719-278-3708, because we really know what we're doing with that. And if someone's not certified in intimacy anorexia, they can be less helpful for sure. So here's characteristics. Number 1, they're so busy they have no time just for you. They're able to give time to everybody else, but not you. If a problem comes up in the marriage, they blame you before taking responsibility. They withhold love, especially the way you like to be loved, whether it's time, gifts, touch, praise. You won't get what you want, even though you've told them many, many times what you want. They withhold spiritually, even if they're really high up in their spiritual hierarchy in their community. They will withhold sex in a couple ways. 1, they won't have sex with you. 2, they will negatively reinforce you during sex by saying unkind things during sex to make you not want to do it again. But also, they will not be present during sex. She will never open her eyes. He will never open his eyes. There's no words spoken. You feel alone before, during, and after sex. You feel less satisfied than more fulfilled. That's a symptom of intimacy anorexia. They're unwilling or unable to share their feelings with you. They use anger or silence as a way to control you in the marriage situation. They have ongoing or ungrounded criticism of you. Sometimes they control around money issues. But here's kind of something I've heard at least 1,000 times in my office in Colorado Springs doing 5-day intensives. Dr. Weiss, I feel married and alone. I feel unwanted. I feel like I'm the manager of a business, but not necessarily in relationship with the owner. If you're having those feelings, definitely check out Intimacy Anorexia. Now, the last thing I want to share with you about deadbed is just misunderstanding each other sexually. In the book, Upgrade Your Sex Life, I strongly encourage you to get that or get the video, because I outline the 5 sexual expressions. We all have different sexual expressions. And sometimes couples are just missing each other because they think, well, they're supposed to be like me sexually. I'm patience. And so they're patience. No, you're patience, and they might be fun, okay? And we have to connect each other where we are on our design, the way we're made sexually. And if you're missing each other, it almost feels like negative reinforcement. It feels like I'm never getting that itch really scratched. I'm not really feeling satiated because I'm not hearing you say you want me. With your eyes closed and not talking to me, I feel tolerated, not wanted. Well, if my sex language or my sexual expression is desire, I want to be wanted. And if your spouse knows that, they can communicate that, and we actually walk through the entire arc of sexuality, the sexual environment, the invitation to sexuality, foreplay, during sex and after sex, depending on your sexual expression, what needs to be heard so the person's getting the optimal pleasure. And again, that's positive reinforcement. So if your sexuality has more positive reinforcement, both people want to have that. That's how appetites are created, through positive reinforcement schedules. That's why people eat and drink things that don't make sense to other people. They've created a positive reinforcement schedule with that particular thing. So I hope this is helpful for you to move out of the deadbed syndrome. If you're in a sexless marriage, we have a great DVD. It goes through about 8 different reasons why, I'm not covering all of those, called Sexless and Married. And that can be really super helpful for you as well.